Lots of you getting in touch. We were asking you originally about Donald Trump blasting Keir Starmer's Chagos Islands deals. He told the Prime Minister not to give away, those are his words, not to give away the Diego Garcia military base. This comes with this conversation we just had with Lord Dannatt, the former head of the British Army, about our defence spending and why we should be spending up to 5% in the next decade on our defences to deter Russia and other aggressors. But no, those stories all absolutely overtaken by the extraordinary breaking news in the last few hours that the King's brother, the late Queen's son, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, Prince Andrew as was, has been arrested by Thames Valley Police. They arrived in unmarked police cars to his house on the Sandringham Estate in Norfolk this morning, and he was taken away in police custody and remains in police custody at this time, facing accusations of misconduct in public office. Now, he of course has denied all wrongdoing, and of course we now know there are 9 different police forces around the country that are investigating allegations against the Prince, some of which contained in the Epstein files, some of which developments offer the original allegations from Virginia Giuffre, of course the subject of that infamous Newsnight interview with Emily Maitlis. Again, the Prince has not been charged with any crimes and he has denied all wrongdoing. But certainly we've had not just the King, King Charles in the last week saying that, they would help, the Buckingham Palace would help with any police investigations. We've had the Prime Minister today, Keir Starmer, saying no one is above the law, although technically speaking, the King is above the law. He is the law. But in the last couple of moments, King Charles has said the law must take its course after expressing his deepest concern over the arrest of his brother on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Going to talk to Sir Ian Duncan-Smith in just a couple of moments. First up, let me introduce you to Henry Hill, Deputy Editor of Conservative Home, and he's been joining me throughout the show. Rather less politics, rather more royals today. Just your reaction just first to that statement from the King, that expressing deepest concern and saying the law must take its course. I mean, to a certain extent, not quite sure what else he could have said in these circumstances.
Well, I mean, yeah, I suppose the alternative, the realistic alternative would be no statement. And it's good that he has come out ahead.
That kind of doesn't work with 24-hour news anymore,
no, of course
does
it doesn't. But I agree with you. I don't think there is an alternative answer. But you certainly can't imagine him being like, how dare they unhand my brother. It's not really the kind of thing that he was going to do. But again, I think this is sending another signal to any elements of the police or other which might have been wondering, nope, King's come down, public opinion's here. Do
you think a lot of this right now is there's been lots of question marks, monarchy and the establishment cover-ups and people thinking they're above the law, that actually a lot of this now is, and as one of our guests previously said, former royal editor of The Sun, Charlie Ray, that actually this arrest, you think, damaging for the royal family and the institution, but to a certain extent, actually, it's good for the royal family that he is seen to, he's not going to be protected. He's not above the law. And again, whether he's innocent or guilty of any crimes and he's denied any wrongdoing, that he must face the same investigation that anyone else would face if such evidence would emerge that there is the possibility of a crime having taken place.
I think I do agree with that. I mean, look, you and I both know the journalistic cliche, it's not the crime, it's the cover-up that really ends up doing for people, right? I think that if it obviously it would be different if, as some people have alleged, King Charles knew about things and hid them. That would be a completely different matter.
And we've got some very senior figures who've said this.
Right, but if that doesn't get proven, then I think that what is important here is that Charles is seen by the public to cooperate fully with the pursuit of justice and to have treated fairly the information in front of him. If that's true, I suspect he can cauterise this. The royal family is a very resilient institution. It's had scandals before. And it will probably, almost certainly, being human, have scandals again. But I think that actually the King, so far, is playing this as well as he can.
It's very interesting, having just spoken to Lord Dannatt, a subject which was leading some of the front pages today. He certainly won't be leading the front page tomorrow. We know what's on the front page of every newspaper tomorrow. Maybe not the Guardian. They like to be a bit different, don't they? But they are Republicans largely, so maybe they will have on the front page. But the story about the defence spending, and we spoke to Lord Dannatt, former head of the British Army, talking about getting defence spending up to not just 3% at some point in the 30s, but to 5%, but starting the increase in spending now, money on the table, start procuring armaments, making sure we've got joined up thinking, things work, they are compatible alike. This combined with the Diego Garcia military base and the handing over of the Chagos Islands and leasing that back, defence is a growing issue in this country. But again, with all these things, there ain't any money, and any government who wants to spend more on defence, even though they talk about it, all parties well, on the right and the Labour talk about it, all very well, but there isn't actually any money, and a lot of difficult decisions need to be taken.
I was going to say, I'd say that I've got three sort of quick observations about that. One, as you say, what are you cutting for this defence spending? Right? The markets will not wear a sustained increase in deficit financed revenue defence spending. Two, what are you buying with it? One of the problems that we have with the armed forces now is that we have cut military spending over and over again, but we have refused to shrink or refine the focus of our armed forces. Fundamentally, at this point, we can afford either a big European army or a globally capable navy, but not both, but we refuse to choose which one. And third, which is interesting because Lord Thanet mentioned this, currently we have a policy of exclusively buying British for defence, right? Which sounds great, but it means that you've only got 3 companies and they can be rubbish because there's no one else to go to. So it would be interesting to see if we did start buying overseas.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Henry Hill, Deputy Editor of Conservative Home. Don't forget to